n8n or Zapier. Which automation tool is the best for you? In this video, we're going to be comparing these tools in 3 different aspects. We're going to talk about ease of use, flexibility, and cost. Now, before we start the comparison, let's talk about what exactly these tools are. Both of them are no-code automation platforms, which you can use to automate different parts of your life. For example, think about like sending emails, replying to emails. You can pretty much automate all that using the AI workflows that you can build with these apps. Now, to talk about ease of use, I think the best option is to actually show you guys how both of them work. We're going to be building the same exact workflow first in Zapier and then in n8n, so you guys can see a direct comparison of how much work it takes and how easy it is to use both of them. So without any further ado, let's jump into the computer and I'll show you guys how both of them work. All right, so let's go ahead and make an automation in both Zapier and n8n so you guys can understand which one is easier to use and how to use both of them. So the idea is pretty simple. We're going to be making an automation, which is going to be an email responder. Let's say you get a question about your business or something like that, and then you can sort of just have some pre-stored information which you're going to use to respond. So in Zapier, it's going to be pretty easy actually. They've added this new feature called Copilot, which basically is kind of like an AI agent for making AI agents, if that makes sense. So basically you just describe whatever automation you want and it's going to do pretty much 90% of the work for you. So I'm going to go ahead and describe what my AI agent needs to do. So I'm just going to paste in description. So it says respond to emails asking questions about my coffee shop. And then I've just added some information about my coffee shop, which it's going to use to answer those questions. The shop is open every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I sell my own coffee beans and all my coffee is sourced from Ethiopia. And then we can also ask it to, you can use ChatGPT to generate responses. Now, you don't really need to do this, but I'm just doing it just in case because sometimes it's automatically going to reply to emails, without using any AI model. So I'm going to make sure that I ask it to use ChatGPT, and that's pretty much all we need to do. I'm going to send this, and then it's going to give us a proposed plan of how the agent should work. And now you can see that it gave me a proposed system. It's going to generate a personalized response using coffee shop information. The system prompt is going to be this. Now, normally, if you're making AI agents in, let's say, n8n or any other AI agent builder, you're going to have to put all of this information in manually. But in this case, Zapier is going to handle all that for us. And that's why I personally love Zapier, because it does 90% of the work for you. So if you're satisfied with all of this, you can also ask it to, make some changes if you want. But once you're satisfied, you can click continue to Zap editor, and it's going to take you to this Zap editor right here. And even here, you're not going to have to do anything. It's going to automatically build everything for you. And I will see when that's done. And it's asking us to test the ChatGPT step. So I'm just going to click test step. And I've already connected my ChatGPT account to this. So my API, I'll show you guys how to do that in just a bit. But, in our case, I've connected my Gmail, I've connected my ChatGPT and everything. And there you go. Your Zap is ready. You can see that it tells us on the left-hand side, we have a Gmail trigger, we have a ChatGPT response. Also, by the way, I want to mention one thing that is, even though it's done pretty much all the work for you, you can definitely make tweaks to this. And, it is pretty flexible as well. So for example, you change your shop hours or you want to add any other information. You can do that very simply by going to the ChatGPT node, and then in the configure settings, we have all the information here. So you can, modify any of this, or you can even add information if you want. But the whole setup, the whole system is there for you, and you can just make tweaks if you want. So let's go ahead and test it out to see if it actually works. I will send an email to myself. So you can see it says, I tried your coffee at the shop earlier today and I really enjoyed it. I was wondering if you sell your beans as well. So I'm just going to send that. So I'm going to go back to Zapier, and then we can click find new records. Obviously, when this workflow is actually active, it's going to do that automatically. And you can see our new email is right there. So we're going to click continue with selected record. And once we do that, it's going to send us to the ChatGPT node where I think everything should be configured. We can just press continue and everything should be good. And then I'm going to go to Gmail, and if I press continue, everything should be set up for us. You can see our to email is set, our thread is set, and our body is also set. So those are pretty much all the things that we need. And press continue. And let's test this step. Now, if this works, I should get an email. So let's see if that works. And yep, there you go. It just sent us a response. Hi, Abdul. Thanks for visiting. Yes, we sell our own Ethiopian coffee beans. Glad you enjoyed the coffee. And that's a perfectly good response. So yeah, that's how it works. It was pretty simple to set up. Now, all we need to do is just publish this Zap, and it should be working automatically. So if I just click publish, and now you can see our Zap has been published. And if I send an email, it should respond and it should work perfectly fine in the background. All right, now let's go ahead and make the same exact workflow inside of n8n. And n8n requires more manual work. It's more hands-on, like I mentioned before. So we're going to have to build the whole workflow ourselves. We can't use anything like Copilot. So I'm going to click add first step right here, and we're going to search for Gmail because we are going to have a Gmail trigger. So on message received, just add that. Once we add that, we're going to have to connect our Gmail account. And this is going to be slightly more tricky than, just log into your Gmail account like you do for Zapier. We're going to have to go over to Google Cloud Console, and we're going to have to configure a few things, but it's not going to be too bad. It is definitely more work than Zapier. We're going to browse over to console.cloud.google.com. And once you're here, you're going to have to log in with your Google account. And once that is done, we're going to create a new project. So just click right here. and just click new project. So I'm just going to call it n8n test 3 and I'm going to create it. And once that is done, what we can do is we can go over to this navigation menu and then you can go down to APIs and services and OAuth consent screen. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to get started and you can just do that. And then app name, we can just call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it n8n test 3. And then user support email can just be your main email. Click next. And audience can be external. Click next. And then email can again be the same exact email. And next, and then finish, agree, and then create. So once that is done, you can go ahead and click right here, create OAuth client. And once you do that, you can select the application type. It can be web application. And now we're going to go to authorized redirect URIs. Now this is important because if you go back to n8n and you go to connect your Gmail account, this is my main account that I've added already. So you're probably not going to see anything like this, but you will see create new credential. If you click that, and it's going to show you this URL right here. You can just copy this whole thing and then go back to Cloud Console and then just add URI and paste it right there. Perfect. Once you do that, you can create, and then it's going to show you your client ID. You can copy this and go back to n8n, and in the client ID, you can just paste it right there. Back inside of Cloud Console, you can press OK, and then you can click this n8n test 3, this app, and it's going to show you your client secret right here. So you can just copy this and then go back to n8n and paste your client secret right there. After this, we're going to go to audience, and in here, we're going to add a test user. So I'm just going to select my main email, click save, and then back inside n8n is going to show us this option to sign in with Google. Make sure this is the same email that you added to your test users, and then click continue right there and select all, and then you can go down and click continue. Now the connection has been successful, but the only thing that's left is basically to enable the Gmail API, because Gmail is a tool that we're using inside of Cloud Console. So we're going to go back to Cloud Console, search for Gmail up here, and select Gmail API. Once you do that, you can just go ahead and click enable, and that should be pretty much it. Now we can go back to n8n and now it should work just fine. So if I just click fetch test event, it should basically fetch me my latest email, which is perfect. So once that is done, we can go back to Canvas, and now we know that our emails are going to be coming in through this trigger. After that, we can go ahead and add an AI agent. So I'm just going to click plus right there and go inside AI and then AI agent. Once that is done, we can start to configure our AI agent. And I'm just going to say define below for the prompt, because this is the actual message that we're going to be receiving. So we're just going to add our message here. For that, we're going to have to go back to the Gmail trigger. And in here, we're going to turn off simplify, because this is going to, give us access to the main message that we get from our email. So when you do that, you're also going to have to fetch test event once again, and it's going to give you all this information that we're going to be using. So we're going to go back to Canvas again, back inside of our AI agent. And on the left-hand side in the input, we're going to scroll all the way down to text right there and just drag that text inside of the prompt message. So basically that is going to be the input that's going to go into our chat model. Alongside that, we're also going to give it a system prompt, which is going to tell the model what exactly to do with that message. So we're going to click add option right there, and we're going to add a system message. So I just pasted in my system message, and it basically says you're a helpful customer service assistant for a coffee shop. Your job is to use the Gmail tool. This is important, by the way, Gmail tool to reply to emails. Basically, it's going to tell the agent to use the Gmail tool that we're going to attach. And after that, we obviously have some information about our coffee shop and, some details on how the responses should be. So once all that is done, we can go back to Canvas, and then we can attach a chat model and a tool. So I'm going to add the chat model first. And this can be, any model that you want. I'm just going to select OpenAI ChatGPT. And again, you're going to have to connect your ChatGPT account as well. So I'm just going to show you how to do that as well. And this is going to be the same process, by the way, for Zapier, if you want to connect your ChatGPT account. So for that, you're going to have to search OpenAI API in Google and basically click API platform right there. Once you're on this page, you can log in to the API platform. And once you're inside your account, you can go to settings and billing. And then here you can add some balance to your account. Once that is done, you can go to API keys, and you can just get your API key here. So we can click create new secret key and, just call it whatever you want. And then if you click create secret key, it's going to give you your API key, which you're going to take back to n8n and click create new credential and just paste in your API key right there. I'm not going to do that because I already do have my account connected. So once that is done, we're going to go back to Canvas and we're going to add the tool next. So for the tool, I'm going to select Gmail. Just search for Gmail and select Gmail tool. And in here, our operation is going to be to reply, and our email type is just going to be text. So I'm going to select text. And then our message ID is going to be the thread ID right here from your Gmail trigger. And then your message is going to be defined by the model itself. So I'm just going to click this button right here, which is going to let the ChatGPT model automatically decide the response. So I think that should be pretty much it. We can go ahead and test it out to see if it actually works. So back inside Gmail, I'm sending the same exact email to that address. And now let's see if the agent works. So if I execute the workflow, it should hopefully send the email. And let's see. And as you can see, the response is perfect. And yeah, that's how you can make the same exact agent with n8n. So as you guys saw, Zapier was way easier to use. You just type a prompt in the Copilot and it does pretty much all the work for you. In n8n, however, you do get that extra control, but it comes with that complexity of, building everything from scratch by yourself. And it involves a lot of, manual work. Now, to be honest, if you're someone who has that technical knowledge and, you like to tinker with things and you like more control on the automations that you build, by all means, go for n8n. But for the vast majority of people who are not willing to spend hours, learning a software and, learning the skills that you need, I think Zapier would be the better option. Now, let's move on to the next aspect, which is flexibility. Now, I've seen a lot of people argue online that Zapier is not that flexible and n8n is way more flexible. To be honest, these arguments were valid, up till a few years ago, but recently Zapier has become way more flexible and you can use a wide variety of tools. And even if, for example, an API is not available in Zapier natively, you can still use webhooks to add that API. Now, that being said, n8n does offer you the ability to write code inside of your workflows. For example, if you want to add like multi-step JavaScript functions inside of your workflow, you can do that. If you want to add a lot of, say, if-else statements, while loops, or even, complex condition handling, then n8n would be the better option. So in short, in terms of flexibility, n8n does win. However, for the vast majority of people, I think Zapier would be good enough. And now finally, let's talk about the most important thing, which is pricing. Now, pricing is similar for both of them. Both of them offer plans around, I think, $20 a month, but what you get for both of them is a bit different. So Zapier charges you for every node that you add. So let's say you had a workflow which had 4 nodes, you would be charged twice as much compared to a workflow with only 2 nodes. However, Zapier basically charges you for entire workflows. So what I would recommend is, so if you're building smaller workflows with, let's say, 2, 3, 4 nodes at max, then go with Zapier. If you want to build more complex workflows and, have tens of nodes, then go with n8n. Now, a major selling point for n8n has been the fact that they allow you to self-host. However, recently they've introduced a new pricing update, which is going to charge you in a lot of cases for self-hosting as well. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. Apart from that, I also want to mention some hidden costs that come with n8n workflows. So building workflows in n8n is one thing, right? Once you're done with building a workflow, you still need to maintain it. And let's say an app that you added changes their API, right? You need to manually go in and update that, and you need to sort of keep maintaining the workflow. Now, that would obviously require more manual work, or if you're going to hire a developer, that's going to come with its own costs. In Zapier, however, all the APIs are updated automatically. So for example, you make a workflow, you're not going to have to spend any time or money maintaining that or, keeping that up. So in conclusion, which one is better for you? And the short answer is, I don't know. It really depends on you, what kind of control you want on your workflow, what kind of ease of use you want. You really need to make your decision yourself. For the vast majority of people, I would say Zapier would be the better option, as it's like easier to use and, easier to set up and easier to maintain. However, n8n does offer you more control, more flexibility. And if you are someone who is an experienced developer, then definitely by all means go for n8n. But with all that being said, I want to know your opinion. Let me know in the comments down below which one you prefer and which tool you want to see more tutorials on. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.